We have a very special story for you today about a patient that we treated here who received a remarkable transplant and a first for us here at University of Utah Health. I should also say, since it's Veterans Day, for any of you out there who are veterans, thank you for your service, and we hope you're having a great day. So we're going to have a few speakers this morning. First will be Dr. Joseph Stalick, who is the medical director of our heart transplantation program at University of Utah Health. Dr. Jeff Campson, who's transplantation and advanced hepobiliary surgeon here at University of Utah Health, and Dr. Craig Selzman, who's the medical director of our transplant service lines at University of Utah Health. So I'm going to hand it over to you first, Dr. Stalick, and then when we hear from our speakers, we'll open it up for questions from the media, and I will ask you to use your chat feature. Dr. Stalick.
Thank you very much. It's really nice to be celebrating Veterans Day by sharing information about collaboration between University of Utah Health and the Salt Lake City VA Medical Center, and sharing a story about a very special patient. Keith is a 58-year-old patient who developed heart failure, which is a disease of the heart that weakens the heart muscle. His condition really worsened a couple of months back, affected his kidneys as well, and he went to another institution to seek therapy. Where he was evaluated there, he was also diagnosed with liver cirrhosis, which is severe disease of his liver. And because of this triple organ failure, he was not believed to be a candidate for transplantation. And he returned back to his home in Phoenix. He actually received a call from his VA cardiologist telling us about the patient, about his strong will to live and overcome the challenge he's facing. And he asked us if we could consider an exceptional treatment for this patient, triple organ transplant. We have a great transplant team here, a multidisciplinary team, and all the doctors got together and all the staff and team got together, discussed the patient, and we decided we would be willing to see the patient and see if we could help him. We also received support from the Salt Lake City VA, from the Phoenix VA, and actually from Veterans Health Administration in Washington, D.C. to fund this procedure, and decided to proceed with transplantation. 3 weeks ago, we identified a donor who could provide 3 vital organs for Keith. And I will now pass the microphone to my colleagues who will tell you more about what happened next.
Hey, Dr. Campson, do you want to go next?
Sure. Hi, I'm Jeffrey Campson. I'm a abdominal transplant surgeon. I performed the liver and kidney transplants on Mr. Baker. What I wanted to impress upon everybody is the development of being able to do a triple organ transplant was really, in my mind, over a 10-year process of the evolution of the University of Utah's transplant program. The thoracic organs and the abdominal organs groups came together and started to do dual organs, whether it was liver kidney, heart kidney, heart liver. So when this patient came, we felt like we could do the flow of 3 organs. This was also coordinated with our local organization, Donor Connect, which I'd like to really compliment, because they were able to help us coordinate this. So when the donor went back to the operating room and the organs were deemed viable, it allowed the heart team to start the operation, transplant the heart, and then once the heart was transplanted, the abdominal team, myself and Dr. Raphael, came in and did the liver transplant. Once that was done, both the heart team and the liver team made sure everything looked really good. We actually closed Mr. Baker, let him go to the ICU and recover for about 8 hours, and then he came back and got his kidney transplant about 8 hours after that. We have a preservation device that allows the kidney to live a little bit longer than the other organs. And then after that, he just received expert medical care in our ICUs with providers that understood the complex relationship between all 3 organs, where each organ needs special care, and that may conflict with the other organ recovering. However, because of the shared experience and the collaborative approach, they were able to manage all three organs and successfully allow them to wake up and work.
Great. And Dr. Selzman?
So hi, my name's Craig Selzman. I'm one of the heart surgeons here and work in partnership with Joseph Stellick with our heart transplant program. And although as a chest surgeon, it pains me to look at anything below the diaphragm, I must admit that our collaboration with Dr. Campson and his group has proved to be incredibly gratifying. And I think Mr. Baker is an example of that. Just to put this in perspective for those folks not familiar with these multi-organ transplants, in the history of looking at this, this is actually the 25th one that has been done in the United States. There really is maybe one, maybe two a year max that are done, and it requires a certain constellation of diseases that affect all three organs to allow something like this to even happen. You know, the surgery itself is relatively straightforward. You know, the heart, there's a few things to take out and put together. The liver, there's a few things to put out and take together. Kidney, a few things to put out to take together. But when you add up all the things that you take out and take together, there's probably 15, 20 things that have to be put together back again. So it's pretty cool. And I think the main thing I want to add to this is actually a little vignette about Mr. Baker, who we're going to put on the spot here in just a bit. When he was transferred up, Dr. Stellick called me when he first arrived, and we were both looking at each other saying, what the heck are we going to do with this guy? He was so sick, and we thought there was just really no hope for him, that we could, you know, he could stay on dialysis and we could have him on all kinds of medicines for his heart and try to help him with his liver, but we didn't really think that he had a chance. But the guy has some level of resiliency that is maybe it's his veteran roots, but he could not be denied. And despite some of our initial pessimism, he proved us all wrong. And in the intensive care unit, despite being incredibly ill, he showed this spirit of survival that was really a model for all of us that were involved with his care, his nurses, physical therapists. And so we really had no choice but to do this because he was so doggone ready to do this. And he has proved himself right because he went through this big operation and he's been a real trooper, and he's up walking around on the floors right now. And we're really excited for Keith and for his family, and maybe that'll be a lead-in, Kathy, to bring Mr. Baker into the fold.
Yeah, so with no further ado, we're so happy today. We weren't sure if how he'd be feeling, but we're so thrilled that he's feeling great. So we want to introduce our patient, Keith Baker, and we're so glad you're feeling well. And we also, on this Veterans Day, want to thank you for your service. Keith.
Oh, thank you very much. You are, this hospital is just a fantastic organization. And I tell you, after all those speeches just now, it's hard for me to keep it together. None of this could ever happen without the miracle I believe I received from my God. He put the skill and the talent in these wonderful doctors, nurses. I'll even include the janitors because everybody had a hand in what had happened. I don't want it ever mistaken that I really had anything to do with this. I just always felt like I was a spectator. But I wasn't going to give up. They were right about that. I just never had the fear because I was denied twice. And I thought I had basically at the last 1 foot in the grave and the other one on a banana peel. I thought I just had no choice or no chances. But I never had the fear of either dying or living. I just knew I wanted to live because my mom and dad are still alive, for instance. And I want to be here to help them. Well, through the blessings that I received, I still am. I wanted to get my message out, especially today on Veterans Day, for one, to thank all the other veterans I served with, and two, if there's any patients I can possibly help, need reached out or hopefully get to see this, and there might be stumbling with a few things, that anything's possible. Put your heart into it. Don't give up. Go in with a good attitude. Don't worry about the small stuff. That's what everybody else gets paid to do. Just try and stay alive. I was a mess up when I was younger, and I miss what it feels like to feel good. And now I get a second chance to relive it. Do I think I deserve it? Not really. I mean, I think there's many other people out there that are more deserving than I am. And I also think that that the donor really, I have struggled sometimes, thinking that this poor person had to go and I'm still here. So, like they said, I'm 58, but I sure don't feel it now. I tell you, I feel young. They did a fantastic job. And the incredible thing is, I had no pain. Now, if I can be candid, you can edit this out or whatever you want, but I had constipation the other day that hurt more than the surgery did. So I just want to make sure that all the people that sent in their prayers, from family and friends to, like I said, everybody in this hospital I've fallen in love with, they're way over 10-star. So I'll stop there before I ramble on too long, because I hadn't been known to do it.
Thank you so much, Steve. Before we open it up to questions, I do want to mention a couple notes. So we do have some photos and video of Keith that we'll be sending out to all of you, as well as a recording of this press conference. We will not be answering any questions today about the donor, so I just want to make that clear. And then we do have Cameron Dovalina from, he's the Clinical Director of Organ Recovery with Donor Connect, so he can answer questions today about organ donation. And then we also have Dr. Juan Gallegos, who will stay on when we're finished asking questions in English, who will be here for our Spanish language media colleagues. So with that, I'm going to open it up to questions, if you want to just use the chat feature there. And while we're waiting for some of those questions, I'll throw out the first question, because I know we've already been asked this. Do we have an estimated time for when Keith will be going home? Does anyone want to take that?
So this is Craig here. So it just depends if he gives us some chocolate chip cookies or some other way to bribe us to go home. What do you think? Keith is almost ready to get out of the hospital. We're hoping that he can get a little more rehabilitation. He was so sick and lying flat in bed for so many weeks and months even, that getting his physical stamina back up is very important. And as part of our policy here within the University of Utah, we hold him hostage in Salt Lake City. So going home is not imminent, but he's going to hang out with us for a few months before he hits the home.
And can you tell us, Mr. Baker, a little bit more about your military service? What branch did you serve in, and how many years were you deployed at all? Can you give us a little background?
Yeah, from September 81 to September 83, I was in U.S. Army. I was a 63 Bravo power generator auto mechanic. Excuse me. And I was stationed in El Paso, Texas. I was waiting to go. I had orders cut to go to Germany, but I asked to go to Korea instead because I don't know. I don't like office work. That's what we call Germany. There was nothing to do. So, but Korea was a little busier. So that's where I wanted to go. Well, I think it was a week or two before I was scheduled to deploy, I was in an accident, which if I can leave it at that, I'd just leave it at that. But it landed me in the hospital for 8 months. And then I was 100% permanent, medically discharged from the service. I only made it 2 years, unfortunately. I wanted to stay in longer. I had every plan to, but 2 years is all I made. That's, I guess that's it. That's all I got on that.
And Keith, you mentioned, oops, I'm getting a little echo there. Okay. You mentioned a little earlier, you said you thought your youth was a little messed up. Do you want to elaborate on that? You don't have to if you don't want to, but someone was asking a question about that.
I really don't want to go into specifics. It just that I was just running around with my head in the clouds and just being stupid. That's all I really got to say about it. I look back and I didn't really cause a lot of this, but I always refer back to that as an example because of if there was a worse time in my life, that was probably it. I missed a lot of it. I'm sure if people's imagination could put 2 and 2 together, they'd probably figure it out. But I'd rather not be the one to say it because there's a lot of people that don't know. So I just assume keep it that way if that's okay.
That's great. And then some of the reporters want to know a little bit about your medical condition and how long you've been suffering. I don't know if you want to take that, Keith, or if one of our physicians want to give a little more background on that.
Well, I do have one thing I'd like to say about that. When I first came in the hospital and for several months, they kept saying how sick I was. I had no clue what sick was. I didn't feel sick. I felt fine. That's why I couldn't believe I was in as bad off as I was until after surgery, and I've recovered somewhat. Now I know what it means to feel good. So now I understand the word, what it means to be sick. So that's what I wanted to say.
If I can, this is Joseph Stellick. Maybe I'll jump in a little bit. We are very proud of our program that treats patients with heart failure. Heart failure is the spectrum of diseases that weaken the heart. And an amazing thing is that in 2020, we have a number of medications as well as surgical treatments that can make patients with heart failure recover their health. And so this is why we come to work every day, to meet patients like Keith, who have been in pretty bad shape for a long time, and figure out the best way to get them back into active lives.
I'm going to throw a question over to Cameron. Can you tell us how difficult it is to arrange for a triple organ transplant, and tell us a little bit more about organ donation? You want to unmute, Cameron?
I apologize. Can you hear me now? Thank you. First off, I want to congratulate Mr. Baker on his new lease on life. He's a prime example of why we do what we do. And again, I want to congratulate you on taking on this tremendous challenge, not only for the Utah community, but for the national community, to be commended. A lot of work goes into it because not only were the Utah surgeons involved, but there were numerous other out-of-state surgeons involved as well that need to be coordinated in conjunction with each other to go and make this recovery. And for all those other recipients also to be at the right time for surgery as well. And so it takes a tremendous effort by all. And so not just our staff, but also the various transplant center staff as well. So.
Do we have any other questions from media? Any other questions today? Okay, and just if anybody's typing, I'm just going to mention the University of Utah Health has a partnership with the VA Health system here in Salt Lake City, and we just recently opened a clinic in South Jordan. We sent a press release out, but it was in the middle of everything that's going on right now. So I do want to highlight that we're very proud of the partnership that we have with the VA, and very proud that we're able to help care for veterans in our community. We do have one more question. How common is it to get 3 organs from one donor? That might be a question for you, Cameron.
It's incredibly rare. We facilitate what's called a kidney pancreas transplant pretty regularly, but for someone to receive both the heart, liver, and kidney is incredibly rare. And I think the press release emphasizes it that only 25 of these have been performed ever in the history of transplantation, and only 2 have been performed this year alone, and with the university being one of them. So this is an incredibly, donation as a whole is a rare gift, but this is an incredibly rare gift.
And to clarify, it is the first for University of Utah Health, is that correct?
Yeah. Yes. Also to talk about Cameron's point, that particular donor also donated his other kidney, his sister kidney and his pancreas in a dual organ transplant that we performed the same day.
Okay, and then someone missed part of the connection where we were talking about Mr. Baker. Mr. Baker, where are you from? Phoenix, is it?
Yuma, Arizona.
Arizona.
Yeah.
And any other questions from media before we turn it over to Spanish language? Okay, so we will be sending out, again, photos, video, press release, recording of this to everyone. If you have any follow-up questions for us, please let us know. And then I'd ask all of our physicians to stay on the line, and anyone who would like to stay on the line to have some questions answered in Spanish. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for helping share this great story today.
Thank you for letting me hear my message out. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you, Keith. I think maybe we can have you stay here if you don't mind a little longer, but
Sure.
in particular, we want Dr. Stellick and Dr. Gallegos to stay on the line for us, and then we do have some media outlets who would like to have their questions answered in Spanish. So I'm gonna open it up now for that.
Okay.
You can just unmute now, I think, and ask your questions.
Hi, this is Kimball with Telemundo. ¿Con quién voy a hablar en español?
Doctor Juan Gallegos, y si necesita a mí, puedo hablar en español también.
Okay, okay.
Ok.
¿Qué tal? Mucho gusto. Yo soy el doctor Gallegos Orozco. Yo soy uno de los médicos de trasplante de hígado. Y trabajo en conjunto con el resto del equipo cuidando del señor Baker.
Okay, bien. En la conferencia en inglés, ustedes explicaron un poquito sobre cómo la raridad de un trasplante triple. No sé si pueden explicar un poquito en español cuál es la raridad de hacer un trasplante así.
Sí, en efecto, la mayoría de los trasplantes que se hacen en el mundo, y obviamente Estados Unidos no es la excepción, son trasplantes de un solo órgano, ya sea trasplante de hígado, de riñón, de corazón o de pulmón, con un poco menos frecuencia, pero también se hacen comúnmente trasplantes combinados de corazón e hígado, o corazón y riñón, o hígado y riñón, pero el hacer un trasplante triple es una situación excepcional. Ya lo mencionaban las personas de la red de donantes, que al parecer solo ha habido como 25 trasplantes de este tipo en los Estados Unidos. 2 de ellos se han hecho en este año, y este es el primer trasplante triple que se hace en la Universidad de Utah, y me parece que también es el primero que se hace en todo el estado de Utah. Entonces, sí, esto es algo completamente excepcional, y bueno, se dieron las circunstancias favorables para que el donante pudiera donar no solamente el corazón, el hígado y el riñón, sino además también, como lo explicaba el doctor Campson en la conferencia en inglés, ese mismo donante donó su otro riñón y su páncreas para otra persona que recibió el regalo de la vida el mismo día que el señor Baker recibió sus órganos.
Bien, y esta donación, trasplante triple fue el primero para la Universidad de Utah, ¿verdad?
Así es, correcto. Y me parece que es el primero para todo el estado.
Bien, y solo en todos los Estados Unidos solo han sido 25, ¿verdad?
Eso es lo que comentaba la persona Cameron Novalina del área de donantes. Ellos están encargados de las donaciones, que así es en efecto.
Bien, ok, muy bien, gracias. Esas son todas las preguntas que yo tengo. Muchas gracias.
De nada.
Any other questions? Dr. Stellick, is there anything you wanted to add in Spanish?
Pues podríamos decir además que Mr. Baker es un veterano. Hoy es el Día de los Veteranos de Guerra y estamos muy orgullosos por colaborar con la Administración de Veteranos y por ayudar a Mr. Baker a vivir su vida como él quiere.
Bien, sí, muy bien, gracias.
Anyone else? All
I
right.
just like listening to Joseph speak in Spanish. So beautiful.
Habla bastante bien el
It's not
español,
quite
Dr. Stellick.
Gallegos level. It's not quite Gallegos level, but you know, you're getting there.
I think I'm the gringo speaking Spanish here today, right?
Me too, me too.
All right. Well, Mr. Baker, thank you so much for being here today, and good luck to you in your recovery. And with that, we're going to close this, and please let us know if there's anything we can do for any of you in follow-up. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kathy.
Thank you very much, everybody.
Bye.